Hi, Stuart.
And
I'm just wondering your own thoughts on the word emptiness as described by the Buddhist or Zen
which word?
emptiness.
Um, well, it has a lot of meanings. To me, emptiness is to be, to really surrender, to let go. I mean, I talk about this endlessly of the obstructions, personality, charisma, ego, that those obstructions within a human being that keep them from truly receiving the energy of God, of spirit. So the emptiness, allows one to be filled with higher energy in the universe. And that really begins to guide one's life. We're guided with wisdom, with knowledge, with, not from our minds, but that comes from the source of all energy in the universe, the genesis of everything. And in order for a human being to receive that, they have to be in a state of nothingness, or at least getting closer and closer to that state of nothingness. So there's more room in them to receive the Shakti, the spirit, the energy that flows out of the source of, you know, more creativity. I mean, look, uh, emptiness also means that there's nothing there. And it's not what I'm talking about. It's not that there's nothing there. We transform stuff that's killing us into something that gives us life, to spirit. And that can't be done if we're constantly full of ourselves. And by that, I mean all the chaos that runs around inside a person. I once had a very wonderful Japanese painting by a Zen monk. And and it was a painting of a kind of a stick, like a staff, and then there was calligraphy on both sides of it. And it said, those that are on the path get hit with the staff, and those that are not on the path get hit with the staff, you know. And it was just an incredibly, wonderful exploration of what it means to be alive on the earth. No matter what we do, we're going to get hit with the stick. So we might as well do it with surrender, with wisdom, with getting, it's like my teacher really said, you either suffer like a schmuck or you suffer consciously. One way or another in life, we're all going to suffer. The less we're full of ourselves and the less we're full of all of that ego and that, if we're not full of all that stuff, it gives us the ability to suffer and use everything in life consciously as a way to get closer to our spiritual enlightenment. And I've been around enough Zen art in my life. In fact, I even wrote Zen haiku, and I have haiku poems that I've written. And I understand that. I mean, it's something very profound and very beautiful. And it really comes from tapping the kind of the absurdity of life, how we create idols, we create images that we worship, and all of these images that we create and worship are just a reflection of ourselves. People worship money, they worship power, they worship being poor, they worship being rich, and they set up altars in front of these icons that are just a reflection of their own inner life. And instead of trying to surrender all these things and detach oneself from all these things and allow, if there's any altar, let the altar be one that's connected to what's infinite in the universe, to God. And in order to do this, there has to be a state of emptiness, a state of nothingness in a human being. it's like there's a wonderful Zen saying that I always love. Before enlightenment, carrying water and plowing the fields. After enlightenment, carrying water and plowing the fields. You either do it consciously or you do it unconsciously. And probably the best one I ever heard was Mount Fuji, oh snail, but slowly, slowly. I mean, it's really some of those Zen things are just incredible. And that one I really thought, because most people are so impatient to attain a state of enlightenment that they simply get in their own way. And we're a bunch of snails crawling to the infinite. And we think we're, going to run the 4-minute mile or the 2-minute mile. And we just get in our own way instead of taking it a step at a time, and doing it in the amount of time that is necessary to invest in order to attain that state of enlightenment, that state of emptiness, that state of nothingness.
Thank you.
I mean, it took me a very long time to learn this. I was very impatient when I was young. I wanted it to happen in a week and a half. I remember when I built a house in Texas, I used to keep going to the guy who was kind of a construction chief. He's a student of mine at the time. And I said, when are we going to be finished with this? And in about 3 weeks. And we knew it was going to be more than 3 weeks, but he kept catering to my impatience. And 8 months later, the thing got finished. Got finished when it was supposed to get finished. I used to have this with my daughter. The same kind of Zen thing. I would take her I lived in Woodstock in upstate New York, and I would take her to the city, New York, in order to go to a museum, a movie, a show, or something. And she was like 5 years old, 6 years old. And she'd be sitting in the train. When are we going to get there, Daddy? When are we going to get there? So I finally looked at her after about 20 of these, when are we going to get there? I said, Ania, we will get there. When are we going to be there, Daddy? I said, we'll be there when we get there. And she just looked at me and laughed and said, oh. It's a very Zen response. We'll be there when we get there, Oh, So, life is like that. We're impatient. We want it, yesterday. We want to get rich in 2 days. Everybody thinks they're going to start a business. They're going to be rich in 3 weeks. That's the truth. It takes years to build a business in order, to where it's really successful. Same way my teacher Rudy said, it takes 9 months to have a baby. It takes 1 second to die. And that thing he said, I even put it in one of my books. I wrote a book of aphorisms, and I put that aphorism in there because it's just one of the most profound things that anyone ever said to me, and it really changed my life. It made me understand how much time it takes to attain and to get closer to that source of nothingness in the universe, that source of spirit in the universe. And one can't be in a rush. You got to do it a step at a time. And people get impatient and, it doesn't happen too much, but they used to fight with me and argue and, oh my God, it takes so long. I would just shrug my shoulders and say, what can I tell you? It takes as long as it takes. You can get enlightened in 1 second if you suddenly get empty inside yourself. Or you can spend 400 lifetimes just learning how to get to a state of nothing inside yourself. Does anyone else have a question?
Hi, Stuart. I had a question about the breath, the inhale, exhale, and the name of God. I'd read that the YH is the inhale, sorry, the YW is the inhale and the YH is the exhale. And so that we're always breathing the name of God. Could you talk about that, the connection of breath and God?
Well, let's start with the connection with breath and life. Okay, I mean, every time you inhale, you take in life. It sustains life. It's the thing that keeps us all living in the world. It keeps the world from coming to an end. Breath. So every time we inhale, we take in life. Every time we exhale, we are letting go of a part of ourselves in order to receive more of life with the next inhalation. I mean, that's why they created this mantra, so hum. You know, so hum translated means when you say so, when you inhale, I am, hum that. I am one with everything. And life is a manifestation of, what's infinite in the universe. So you got to realize that when you use your breath to develop the chakra system, you are tapping the source of energy that is connected to what's infinite in the universe, life. And call it God, call it, I don't know what, there are a billion names, YH or whatever you said, YMCA, call it whatever you want. It's tapping, go back to what Leisha is becoming so, empty, and so that you can tap with your breathing the source of energy in the universe. You're bringing in all of creation. That is what's strengthening the chakra system. What's opening the chakra system is the focus of the mind in the chakra below the navel. Gratitude will open the heart. And then, a little piece of your attention at the base of the spine. Swallowing will open the throat. I mean, that's our meditation exercise. But what strengthens the chakra system and our connection with infinite energy is the breath, prana, breath. This is not difficult to understand. It is very difficult to do because we forget. We get so wrapped up in all of that stuff that goes on in our brain and our emotions, we forget. And maybe my job is, I'm like, maybe like Socrates, like a gadfly in the marketplace, that I have to constantly be reminding people that there's a certain truth about all of this that they have to remember and use and transform it from some idea you might read or you hear into a practical way of living. I mean, when I first read, that Sermon on the Mount, it was like reading one of the Vedas. It really was. It's such an extraordinary level of wisdom, that also it took years to just inhale it and take it in and allow it to work. The words of the Buddha, it took years to just take it in and allow it to work. And the breath is essential because breath is life. Life is what's connected to infinite energy in the universe. All of creation. So every time you inhale, it's like prayer. Your breath is prayer. I am. Every time you breathe. Everybody, 8 billion strong, they're breathing. It's what keeps the world from dissolving, falling apart. Even with all the insanity, made a commitment today to not read the news anymore. I can't take it anymore. It's so negative and full of crap.
Thank you.
And that's also life. It's interesting how there's a dichotomy, and there's also, I forgot the word, where it all comes together. Everything attracts exactly what it needs. It's exact opposite. There's a crazy, president who wants to conquer the world. He attracts the exact opposite force to stabilize what's going on in that earth. Except most of it takes place on a crazy level, but it attracts. What we're trying to do is get to transcendental consciousness, to get to a level in our inner work that we truly are connected to what's infinite. And we go above all of the madness. And that's breath. Breath builds a system that enables us to do this. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? And the first person that breath heals is ourselves. We can't deal with anything else until we truly heal ourselves. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be a class on Tuesday. God bless you all. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.